Sandy. Welcome.
Thank you. Rika from Columbus, Ohio.
Good morning from Ohio.
Good morning, W82 Baptist, Georgia.
Good morning, honey. Welcome.
Good morning, Linda from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Good morning from Pennsylvania.
Sandy calling from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, good morning from Wisconsin. Levi from Kansas. Okay, welcome to the call. Folks, I'm going to hit the lines here. You should be able to hear me. Please hit star 6. We are getting this call underway. It is a little after 11 o'clock this morning, the beginning of January. We are very excited to have all of you on the line with us today for the Fast Start training call. You are doing one of the very first things that every brand new distributor needs to do as part of their homework. What I give people, their homework. So to go through a Fast Start training call. My wife and I, you heard her on the line, her name is Amy. My name is Doug Stroop, and it is totally our privilege and a blessing to us to be able to bring this education to you. What we totally see in doing this, the opportunity we have to educate a lot of people all at the same time, is that, folks, when you go through this training, as a new distributor, or even as someone that's been in for a while, but you seek some training within your own team or in your area throughout the Zija family, then we feel like that this is an educational call that is empowering you. It is equipping you. I love words that start with an E. Educational call that is equipping you and empowering you to become the leader that you need to be and that your team needs you to be. Now, not everybody needs to be the trainer, right? But what I always suggest is that you go through this education, you go through this START training outline and this call as many times as you need to until you can train the information yourself. I've heard said that as soon as you have one person that you have sponsored, you become a leader. So stop and think about that just for a moment. Are you the leader that your team needs you to be? There was a moment in time for me about 3 years ago. My wife and I started around 3.5 years ago, July of 2009. I came on board fully in January of 2010, and I totally remember a few months after being involved in Zija, growing our business, my wife Amy and I doing this together, I remember getting a phone call from one of our serious distributors. And I heard it in this man's tone of voice that he needed me to be his leader. He had questions. He had a desire. He had motivation. He wanted to grow this business to the top. But he desperately needed a leader to help him along the way. And folks, I heard that in his voice, and a trigger, a switch, if you will, went off in my mind that said, Doug, it's time. You need to step up to the plate and become the leader that your team needs you to be. Folks, that's what you are doing today. So maybe we have some folks on the line today that you're thinking that, and in the forefront of your mind, you're thinking, I need to become the leader for my team. So thank you for being on this call today. Congratulate yourself for taking the time out of your Saturday. I know that we love our Saturdays because we can get a lot of things done around the house, or we'll go to the ball field with our family or park or whatever it may be. But you have chosen to take out some valuable time of your time today and spend it with us all across the country and even other parts of the world, as this is truly an international call. So give yourself a hand clap, give yourself a pat on the back for being on the call today, taking this opportunity to learn this information so that you can become educated, you can become equipped, you can become empowered, if you will, to become the leader your team needs you to be and to truly take this opportunity to the top. Right off the bat this morning, here's what we're going to do. I want you to go to oneteamworldwide.com. If you're there at your computer, And you can go into the back office that website, and you can you can do that by clicking where it says Members Login at the top right-hand corner. The password there is Millionaire, all lowercase, MILLIONAIRE. That's the password to log into the back office, and you can print out this outline that we're about to go through. If you got an email, many times the email that is announcing this particular call will also have a link to the Fast Start Training outline. There's also a link there, either in the back office of OneTeamWorldwide.com or the link that's on your email to another document called Path to Success. So you want to print both of those out. Tremendous information on both of those documents to help you get off to a fast start. That's why we're here today, all of us off to the fast start that we desire, but to start off correctly. There's a lot of folks, many times, if we don't have answers, but we have desire, we can just be out there doing things, being active, but not doing the right things is not going to get us to where we need to be. So today, we're going to find how to be active doing the right things that's going to get all of us to the top. As you're printing that out, or maybe you're still trying to three-way some folks into this call, it's so important to have your new distributors on here. I want to start this morning and just establish a baseline of belief. That's what I call it, and I love doing this little short training all around, different meetings and all where we're asked to speak. But to establish a baseline of what your belief is in Zija International right now. Now, I understand there's different people on the line that have some have been in just for a short time, some are absolutely brand new, some have been in for a little bit longer, but it's always good for us to stop and think, what is our belief in the products of Zija International? I think most of us on the line, I want you to rate this from a 1 to 10 and just write down this number. Write down the word products, and next to that, write down on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your belief in the products? 1 being the worst, 10 being the absolute very best. I think most of us on the call today will write down a 10. And you may write down a 9 or 8 or 7, but I know that most of us on the line are going to have very high belief in the products and the fact that you can put this in your body or on your skin on a daily basis and you're going to get results. We know that we have wonderful products that work. But I want you to just establish this baseline of belief in 4 areas. The first one is the products. So you should have written down the word products and then a number to it on a scale of 1 to 10. What is your belief in the products, all of them, that is marketed by Zija International? Now I want you to write down the word company. Below that, write down the word compensation plan or comp plan. Next to that word company, I want you to do it from the same scale, 1 to 10. What is your belief in the company right now? When I say the word company, I'm talking about the leadership, the founder, Ken Brailsford. I'm talking about the corporate staff and the leadership and the knowledge that they bring to drive this train down the track. Is this truly the company that is the vehicle that's going to get you to where you need to be? Do you believe that it is? It's very important. Just taking some time this morning to do a little bit of baseline belief, a little bit of personal development to get us to thinking, where are we right now in our belief of the products and of the company? Now, you should have written a number next to the word company, 1 to 10. What is your belief in the company and all that that entails? Now, next to the word comp plan, this is the compensation plan. As you look at the compensation plan, as you look at the videos, as you look at the documents in your back office library, as you discuss this with your sponsor and with your team, what is your belief in the compensation plan to truly provide the residual income that you need for yourself and for your family, for your future, for your children, for your grandchildren? What do you believe on a scale of 1 to 10 about the comp plan and its ability to provide for you and for your family's future? Do you truly believe that you can commit to this for 1, 2, 3 years, whatever it takes, and that it will give you more income than you've ever dreamed of? Or do you believe that it's something that you can simply get your fees paid for on a monthly basis? Because you can do both of those. Anything in between is all achievable right here with NZG International. But what is your belief on that right now at this moment in time? The fourth area that I want us to establish a baseline of belief, this is usually the hardest one, and that is yourself. Stop and think for a moment. What is your belief in yourself? Do you have the ability to take this to the top? Do you see yourself walking across the stage at an international convention as a diamond or above? Amy and I saw this vision in our minds from the very beginning. She saw it a little bit before I did, but I came on board with her, very as passionate as she is about seeing us helping other people so that we would be able to help them get where they need to be, which would in turn get us to where we need to be. And we saw ourselves as diamonds in this company from the very beginning. Because we knew, based on the research that we had done, based on the conversations we had had with our sponsors, with others on the team, we knew that everything was in place for us to be highly successful. So we just hit the ground running. We began just to plug into the system, to do the things that we need to do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, just continually doing these things as we built our business to the level of Double Diamond. We knew from the beginning everything was in place for us to do that. So we saw ourselves as diamonds. Do you see yourself right now as a diamond in this company? If you do, and if you truly believe this is the vehicle that's going to get you and your team where you need to be, then you've taken a huge first step. If you don't see that right now, we're actually revealing just to maybe a little bit of areas of weakness, and that all that tells us is that this is an area we'll work on. All right, so you can put that aside. I just wanted to establish that baseline right off the start this morning. So again, it'll show us the positive, the negative, where you are right now. It's not necessarily negative. It's just the facts of where you are in your mind and what some areas of weakness may be that we need to work on in order to get to all of those areas to be a 10 on your baseline of belief. You should have this outline, the Fast Start Training outline should be in front of you there. And we should have the folks, new distributors and others on the line ready to go. All right, this again is the Fast Start Training call. I do want to welcome everybody to this call this morning. Very, very excited for the opportunity to share with you so that you can take this to the top. Understanding the basics of what we do, duplicating your efforts is the key to your success. No one can get to the top of any company, certainly not of this type of direct marketing where we are actually reaching out and helping other people get where they need to be. No one can get to the top by themselves. You can work really, really hard. You can achieve some of the pin ranks with NZG International, but you can't get to the top without duplicating your efforts. That means that you're sponsoring other distributors and you're teaching and training them to sponsor other distributors. That's the basis of what we're talking about here today. Enrolling 2 people and duplicating your efforts in those 2 people. And then as you train them to enroll 2 and so on and so forth, their training, and you just keep on working that system throughout your organization, throughout your teams, you will be successful. Remember, folks, when you're in NZG International, we're not just out here trying to sell products. There's a big difference between being a salesman and being somebody that is sharing your story. Somebody that is sharing what these products and this opportunity has done for you. A big, big difference, right? We are establishing distribution networks in other people, giving them the opportunity to be highly successful. That's what we're doing, and that is bringing about duplication. If you're looking at your outline this morning, one of the top priorities, because we are sharing rather than selling, The top priorities then is understanding and developing your Zija story. And that's basically just going to include a few elements like your background, name, how you got started, what you did when you got started, and your results. If you can write out this story and you can learn it and you can become very smooth and really good at presenting your story in about 60 seconds, that is what you want to achieve as in part of this training today, is writing out, developing your Zija story. Let's go through that. Let's camp out on that just for a few moments this morning and kind of enhance some of the different elements of what your Zija story should look like. Hopefully you've got pen and paper there and your outline and you're able to take some notes so that you can get with your sponsor when this call is over and make sure that you have your story down pat and ready to share with anybody at any time. So apart from now your name and your background, how you were introduced to Zija, you might could just say that that is a friend, a coworker, a family member, whoever that might be. You don't necessarily have to give their name because not everybody you're sharing it with is going to know who they are, although it's perfectly fine if you would like to include their name. But that's just really, really brief. You can do that in just the first few seconds of sharing your story. But apart from those things, you want to talk about specifically how you got started. Certainly, when you're in front of a room of people and you're sharing your Zija story at a PBR, right, at an event, you want to make sure that you're including this in your story as to how you got started. What I mean by that is, which one of the builder systems did you buy? Which one, did you get? What did you do on your auto ship? Is it a builder 1, a builder 2? Is it a 150 auto ship? Those are key elements that they actually create curiosity in the listener. Because when each one of us share our stories and we have within the story the same type of information as to how we got started, I got started with a builder 1 or 2 or whatever it is in your situation. I set up my 150-point auto ship so I could maximize the compensation plan and make sure that I was getting all of the different income streams that were coming to me. When you say things like that and that other people hear those things over and over, then it's going to say, there must be a clue there. If these leaders are doing this and that's what they did, well, then that's what I need to do. Right? So that's really what you're developing in the mind of the listener, the prospect, the guest that you're sharing your story with. That's what they did, so that's what I need to do, and that's what's going to happen in their minds. You also want to talk about the product results that you have gotten, and be sure that when you're talking about product results, you just want to keep that you want to keep it clear. Obviously, you don't want to make any claims. You don't want to talk about the specific disease name. You can talk about the benefits that you received, but you don't have to say what the name of that specific disease is. You can say maybe just a little bit of some of the symptoms, but be careful with the way that you're sharing your story, and specifically in relationship to your product results. Talk about the benefits that you've received without necessarily saying the name of the disease itself. You can talk about moringa all day long. That's wonderful because that's really what we're doing, putting moringa-based products into our bodies, giving the body what it needs to be able to heal and repair itself. And here's some of the benefits. For instance, I had a lot of joint pain when I got started. Within 2 weeks of taking 1 packet of Smart Mix a day, all that went away. I said that in about 5 or 7 seconds, right? And it's very simple, but it creates curiosity in the listener. Oh, he had joint pain. Oh, well, I have joint pain. Oh, I know somebody else that has joint pain. Maybe this would work for me. So you see, that's what we're doing when we're sharing our story. So don't camp out on the product results. Just briefly share, this is what happened to me. You might even could share, maybe with your spouse. Just something briefly, but we want to keep this specific to you. Or maybe to you and your spouse if you're doing this as a couple. you can talk about how you plugged into the system. Now, we're going to camp out in a few minutes a lot more on the system itself. But for right now, just suffice to say that you want to include that element in your story that you plugged into the system. Again, we'll talk about what that is in just a moment. Part of that is also on the conference calls that are available every morning, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, every evening, Sunday through Thursday, 9:30 Eastern Time. This call, Saturday mornings, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm from Georgia, so I'm just giving it to you East Coast time. But you want to talk about that a little bit. Did I plug into a simple, duplicatable system? And then people have a little clue in their minds to ask you about what does that mean. That's fine. When they ask you questions, you're going to get someone on the phone, your sponsor, your active engaged upline, to help to answer those questions for you to your new prospect. But that's what we're talking about. You're plugging in the system, you're getting on the conference calls, you're doing the three-ways, you're attending the meetings, you're making new exposures. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But right now, we're just talking about the elements of a successful lead story. Towards the end of your story, you may want to say something about how the system has worked for you, how it's helped you reach certain pin ranks. You might even want to say something like, the best part is, and that's a great way to end your Zija story. And you could say even a future statement, like, where do I see this taking me in the next 6 to 12 months? That's a wonderful way to end your story. Because of the results that you're already getting now when you're sharing your story, wow, the best part is I see this solid financial future for me and for my family in the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, it's just, you're passionate about it when you're sharing this, right? Because it's from the heart. It's real. It's your story. It's reality. This is working for you. And so you're excited about the opportunity to share this story with other people. Well, let's move on a little bit further down the outline. Now you've worked on your Zija story, or you have the elements of successful Zija story. And again, you want to get with your sponsor, your active engaged upline, when this call is over, and let them help you tweak that to keep it to around 60 seconds. That'll be a wonderful, wonderful thing for all of us to do. Now, as you go out and you begin looking for the right people, right, we want to help everybody. Our heart says everybody needs this, and that is totally true. We want to be able to help everybody that we come in contact with. But can you help everybody? No. Why? Because, not everybody wants to help. Not everybody is going to see it the way you do. But does that mean we don't share with them? No, absolutely not. You never prejudge anyone. All we do is simply share our story, and we ask them, are they open to some information? We'll be glad to give them some. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But from the very beginning here, as your Zija story is developing, you also want to be making a couple of lists of people. One of those are for your prospective customers. One is for prospective distributors. People do not have to be a distributor in Zija International. They have the option of just being a retail customer or a preferred customer. A retail customer obviously is going to be purchasing a product at the retail cost, not wholesale, and they can't build a business with it. They're just a retail customer wanting to purchase the product for their own consumption. You can also be a preferred customer. A preferred customer now can get the products at the wholesale cost, provided that they put their order on what we call an auto ship, which means it's going to ship to them every 28 days at the wholesale cost. Now, everybody can be a preferred customer if they want to be, and just consume the product and get it at wholesale cost. Now, with our Team 250 program that we have in place, even preferred customers can get their products paid for on a monthly basis by referring this to other people, sharing the products with them. If they get 250 points or more of new enrollment volume, right, meaning those people that are telling about it also order product, then that preferred customer can get their next auto ship paid for by the company. There's another list that you would want to be writing, and these are the ones that you want to work with. These are the people that have got huge credibility, a contact base, a large, database of contacts and connections or circle of influence. You want to write down these people and say, you know what, I'd love to be in business with them. I'd love to have them to be, on my team. And you want to make sure you write them down and then just give them the opportunity to join your team with you. Those are the serious distributors that you would love to join to team up with. As I mentioned earlier, you don't ever want to prejudge anyone. I'm sure many of us on the line today have got some wonderful stories of maybe somebody that they thought initially wouldn't do it for whatever reason, but you went ahead and shared with them anyway. And you're so glad you did. I have people like that as well. So we don't want to prejudge them because we want to give everybody the opportunity to get started on the products and or to become a distributor. You want to put at least a dozen or so names on each one of those lists because it's important that you have people in your funnel. That's what we call it. They're at different parts of the process. Maybe they are watching the Discovery Channel documentary on your website. Maybe they're looking at the information. They're sampling the product. They're doing some research. Whatever it may be, they're talking to you and asking questions and you're connecting them for validation. Wherever they are in your funnel, right? If you've got at least a dozen or so people on each of those lists all the time, then you're going to be sponsoring people more often than not, right? Because they're going to come to the end of that. They're, okay, I got my questions answered. I'm ready to go. How do I get started? Well, if you only have one or two people on your list, what are you going to do next? Now you got to go out and find more people. So you're constantly keeping people on those lists. That's extremely important. Now let's talk about the system itself. You hear people ask, what is the system? That you hear, okay, there's a simple duplicatable system. Well, what exactly is that? Well, I'm glad you asked. That's a wonderful question because this is where you want to be spending the bulk of your time doing the system. Here's what it is. If you've got your outline there in front of you, we're about halfway down the page. Number 2 says engage, use the system. It is, first of all, the invitation, then the presentation, and then the validation. Let's explain what those 3 things mean here just for a moment. When you have a story and you have found a company and products that work, and this is working for you and you're excited about it, what is it that you naturally want to do? Share that with someone else. That's the way we are. That's the way we are as humans. It's the way our emotions and our passion, it's the way our mind works. You find something that's good, you find something that works, and you want to share it with other people. So you're going to be enthusiastic about it. We're not talking about pressuring anybody at all. We never want to pressure anybody. We simply share our story. We give them the opportunity to look at information and get started if they choose to. So that's the invitation. Share your story. If they're open to some more information, put it in their hands or get their name, email, a phone number so you can send them some information. If they're across country or another state somewhere, get their address so you can mail them a packet of information. That's what's going to happen in step number 2 of the system. When you have put information, you have put the tools in their hands, then you're going to let the information do the presentation for you. We don't want anybody to think that you have to tell everybody what you know or don't know, because that can really become a nightmare. You know as well as I do, even if it's your best friend in the world, a family member maybe especially, you can get into an argument, you can get into a disagreement. If you're going to be starting to try to tell everybody everything that you know or don't know about this, they'll stand there and argue with you. But as soon as you put documentation into their hands, that speaks more loudly than anything you would say to them. That's the power of the tools. You know, you've got carpenters, you've got people that go to work, they've got a tool belt, and they're ready to build or remodel or whatever it may be that they're going to work on that particular day. Well, folks, we have lots of tools. We've got newspapers, we've got brochures, we've got the conference calls, the websites, we've got the CDs, the DVDs. There's lots of wonderful tools that are available. We need to use those tools and let them do the presentation for you. I like to say it this way: let the tools educate the person for you. Right? That's not your job. Your job is just to do the invitation. Share your story with the passion, excitement that's obviously going to be real because you found something that works. Share something, share it from your heart, and then let the information, let the tools go to work for you. Let them do the presentation. People will listen to that most of the time before they'll listen to you. Step number 3 of the system is the validation. Now, what is that? We have different three-way calls. Right now, in this part of the system, step number 3, this is a validation three-way call. And it should be with your sponsor, with your active, engaged upline. When you return the call, when you follow up with your new person, right? You shared your story, they showed some interest, you gave them information. Now you're following up with them the next day, whatever it may be, or just within a day or two. You're going to follow up with them and ask them, what did you like best about what you've seen? Did you take some time to look at the information? Have you sampled the product? Isn't it great? It really is. Well, then based on their answer, they may say, no, I haven't had the time yet. Okay, well then the conversation can stop right there. Well, why don't you take some time this evening? Can you do that? I'm going to call you back tonight. What's a good time? 7, 8, 9, and set another phone call, a phone appointment for you to follow up until they have taken the time to look at the information. When they have, then you've already got one of your active engaged upline ready. You've already texted them or called them and said, hey, I might need you during this time. Are you available? And as soon when you make that follow-up phone call and that new person has some questions, don't start trying to answer those questions for them. Let's use the system. Let's use the team. And this is the right time for the validation phone call to say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me get somebody else on the line that can answer that for you. Boom. You make the phone call, or maybe you already even have the other person on the line, and you bring them in through this three-way call. By the way, make sure you know how to do the three-way calls first before you get the new prospect on the line. You don't want it to be confusing and you're fumbling over trying to figure out a three-way call. That's not very professional. So go ahead and practice that ahead of time to learn how to do a three-way call on your landline and on your cell phone, because they are different. So make sure you understand how to do it on your particular phone. But what you're doing here is just getting that person, your sponsor, your active engaged upline, on the validation call, and you're just going to introduce the two to each other, the new person to your team member to the new person. You're going to just introduce them, and then you're going to just sit back and listen. Let your active engaged upline do the talking. And we're just going to validate that information. We're going to ask them, too, hey, what'd you like best about it? And we're going to listen to them. And they're going to talk about the information they've seen. They're going to talk about the products they've tried. And we're going to share our story very briefly, and we're going to give them their options. We're going to make some recommendations as to what they need to do to go ahead and get started on your team right then, today. Find out if they're ready to do that, and then we're ready to help them get started. So that's all part of the system, and it's very simple. There's no pressure. You're using the team, and you're allowing the team to work together to help build your organization. So that's the system. Invitation is the only part that you do. The tools do the presentation. Your upline does the presentation. Very, very simple. And as you do that over and over again, you will be successful with Zege International. Now, we're about halfway through on the Fast Start Training outline. And what I want to do now is the rest of this information really is for the serious distributor. I know we've got a lot of serious distributors on the line with us this morning. Well, what do I mean by that? I know there's some folks on the line, and maybe they want to make, I don't know, $500, $1,000 a month, because they want to make sure they at least have all the other products paid for, plus some more income to help them pay their mortgage or their car note or whatever it may be. Maybe college education. Maybe there's a bill that you have that's just a monkey on your back, and you want to make sure you make enough money to get those taken care of and paid for through your Zeta business on a monthly basis. That's wonderful. Those are tremendous goals for you to have right off the bat. But then I know that there's other people on the line that you want to make $1,000 a week. I mean, you want to get this up to $10,000, $20,000 or more a month. And it is possible to do that for the person that right now on this call makes the serious commitment to do the proper business building activities on a daily basis. You can have those things. You heard me say at the beginning of the call, if you want to get your products paid for on a monthly basis, or if you want to have some more income than you've ever imagined, ever thought was possible, and residual income that lasts. I mean, it's going to be here for a long, long time throughout your whole life and for your children and grandchildren. Folks, that is possible right here with Zeta International. My wife and I were in survival mode 3.5 years ago when we found out about this opportunity. And I know there's a lot of people on the line that understand what I mean when I say survival mode. We've had a lot of hard hits economically around this country. And yet Zeta International is continuing to grow in double-digit growth month after month after month. Folks, this is a right time, right place, right company, right products, right everything opportunity for you and for me to be highly successful. But what are we willing to do right now on a daily basis that will allow us to get there? So let's talk to the serious distributor. Whether you're new just now or whether you've been in for a while, but you've made that decision that you are serious, you're committed to do this, let's talk to you just for a few moments. You need to be doing, every time you get a brand new distributor that you've sponsored, you need to be doing what we call power line calls. That means within the first day or two, you want to show them the concept of the team. You want to make sure that you are introducing them to some of their team members so they can hear their story. They can hear their voice over the phone. They can get to know them a little bit better. And they can realize that, hey, I'm not in this by myself. I have a whole team that I can work with here. What if I can't get in touch with my personal sponsor? Well, that's okay, because if you've done the power line calls, then you're going to know 3 to 5 other people that you can contact that are all just as willing to help you as your sponsor is. We're all in this together. That right there is one of the biggest reasons for our success for all of us. Not only do we have everything in place for all of us to be highly successful, but we also work together as a team to ensure your success. That is extremely important. Plus, with the power line calls, you get to hear your upline story. What that does is that triggers thoughts in your mind that when you talk to a new person and they ask you or they mention something about a certain challenge or a question or a business question, whatever it may be, then it'll trigger someone in your mind that has already gone that route, right? That has a connection. Oh, well, let me get you on the phone with whoever it may be, right? And we learned that by doing these power line calls and hearing these stories and then making those connections. Folks, that's one of the biggest reasons, and not to be negative here, but that's one of the biggest reasons why anybody would stop working their business is because they have questions and they don't know who to turn to. They can't get in touch with anybody. They can't get their question answered, and so they come to a standstill. Well, if you do those power line calls, then they're going to have plenty of people that they can contact and get their questions answered and continue to move forward. It's extremely, extremely important. One other thing that we need to do as new distributors, it's this Fast Start training. It's also Zeta University. I want all of us to know this. Every brand new distributor that you sponsor and that your team sponsors, you need to send them directly to Zeta University. Streamlined training on the internet in your back office and their back office that they have as a new distributor, send them directly to ZG University to get the training that they need to watch all of the videos, look at the supporting documents, and get many of their questions answered right off the bat. Now, I want new distributors on the line this morning to stop and think with me just for a moment. Why is it that you are part of ZG International today? I love to set goals. I love to think about those goals. I love to think about what it takes to achieve those goals. And one of the things that it takes is that you have a very serious reason why. I've heard it said that your why should make you cry. And I know we've got a lot of people on the line today that it does that very thing. When you think about the reason why you're doing this business, it brings tears to your eyes. And it should. And your whys can change as you develop and grow your business and you begin to see those whys become reality. Well, then you can have another why. Those can change along the way as you achieve them, and that gets very exciting, just like goals do. You can set your goal right out of the bat to be a builder 500, to be a builder 1,000, to be a gold, whatever it may be. And then obviously as you achieve those goals, then you set your goal a little bit higher, and you put a time frame on it. And then you set about doing those business building activities on a daily basis that's going to allow you to get there in that time frame. It really is simple, but it's very important that you keep that out there in front of you. Now, I've got something else I want to talk about here this morning, and that is making a commitment. I've talked about the business building activities, doing them on a daily basis to help you achieve those goals. What are some of those things that you need to do when I talk about business building activities? Well, obviously I'm talking about making new exposures on a daily basis. First time, second time, third time exposures, whatever it may be, to the people on your list. You need to commit to a few things, and one of those is that you need to make a commitment for a full year. Go ahead and mark it down, put it into the forefront of your brain, and say, I'm still going to be here a year from now. Because I can guarantee you, if you can see yourself as being successful in ZG International 1 year from today, then you will be, provided that you're doing the right business building activities on a daily basis. We've talked about a few of those things. Developing and sharing your story, becoming good at really sharing your story, writing down your list, plugging into the system, working together as a team. These are many of the things that we all need to be doing to get off to a fast start and to ensure your success a year from now. It may not even take you that long. We've had people that have gone gold in 7 or 8 weeks. We've had people go diamond in 3 months. I mean, it can happen. It just depends on the commitment that you make with your team to take this to the top. One of the commitments that I'm talking about as well is that you complete the Fast Start training. Well, guess what? You're doing that right now. So you're already achieving part of your commitments to get you off to a fast start. If you have other folks and they come in as new distributors and they don't need to wait until the next Saturday Fast Start training call, they can go ahead and listen to this training in the archived calls on oneteamworldwide.com. That is the word one, O-N-E, oneteamworldwide.com. It's in the archive calls under the Fast Start training, and you can listen to this anytime and as often as needed until you really got a good handle on the basics of what it takes to be successful with ZG International. You also want to make sure that you have a game plan. That's part of what we're doing today as well, but make sure that you're talking with your team and that you're all working together to organize things like PBRs and different events in your local area, that you're organizing the different three-way calls, the time frames that you're going to be making those calls, and that you've got them ready and waiting for the validation calls. Make sure you're doing the power line calls. All of those things are all part of your game plan, working together with your team, again, to ensure your success within your 1 year commitment. make sure that you're exposing at least 1 to 2, 3 people, whatever it may be, somewhere in there, 1 to 2 or 3 people every day, that you're exposing new people to the system, to the tools, right, to this opportunity, to these products. When you commit to that, then you're going to have people in your funnel at different areas, different levels in that funnel all the time. Another commitment, something I want you to commit to, is either hosting or attending these events. They're all around you. If you don't have events in your area, then you be the one to get them started. Those can be PBRs, we call it private business reception. Those can springboard into a Super Saturday. Usually goes from 10 until 2 on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and that's where you're also showing the opportunity, the general overview, as well as doing some training for distributors. And then those Super Saturday events can springboard into the national and international events that are put on by corporate. Make a commitment to attend all those events and to host them yourselves, not all of them, but make sure that you're hosting them and that you're attending them, because you can build your business from event to event. One thing we like to remind you, can write this down, it's called BAMFAM, B-A-M-F-A-M, stands for book a meeting from a meeting. So you want to close out your meeting, like let's say this meeting right now that you're having tonight, you want to close out that meeting by booking the next one and letting them know, hey, we're going to be having our next event on a certain day or time and place. That way they know, oh, okay, great, now I can go invite people to that one. And that's one thing, one of the commitments you need to make to be successful. You also want to make sure you're sending out information packets across the country, wherever that may be, even to other countries where we are opening in. And you can find that out in your back office. There's different countries. You'll see the flags there. Talk to your sponsor about where those are located so you know what countries that you can send products to or that the company can send products directly to right now. So you want to be sending them out information packets, long distance. At least one of those every week is a wonderful rule of thumb to ensure that you're successful. And you'll be opening up new markets in those areas along the way, and those will all be in your organization. That's a very exciting thing. You also want to commit to doing some personal development. We started off this morning talking about the baseline of belief. If you have any number less than 10, when we talked about your belief in yourself and in seeing that you can and will be successful with EJ International, if there was any lesser number than 10 on that baseline of belief, we all, even if you did 10, had set a 10 on yourself, we all need to be committed to doing some form of personal development. Reading some books, listening to DVDs, watching DVDs, and listening to CDs, associating with the right people. You become like the ones that you associate yourself with. So it makes sense that you want to associate with those that are more successful than you are at the moment, because you want to become like them. You want some of their knowledge and their personality, whatever it may be, you want some of that to rub off on you. So be sure that you're associating with the right kinds of people as you develop your team. I think it's important, too, that we have business partners that we can work together for accountability, for motivation, right? We talked about working together as a team. Many times when you have a business partner that you're working with every week basis, all the time, you're going to be able to stretch each other. You're going to be able to remind each other. You're going to be able to kind of push and pull and hold hands and all the things that are needed for us to work together for all of us to be successful. And again, as I mentioned, make sure you make a 1-year commitment, because we can tell you, without a doubt, you will be successful to a certain extent, whatever level that is, based on what you put into it. As you make your 1-year commitment, you can and will be successful. And you're already off to a great start by listening to this call this morning. Folks, we just have a few more minutes, so I'm going to wrap up the call here this morning. One of the things you want to also do as a new distributor is make sure that you understand how to navigate through your back office. There's just a few things there that we need to do. This is in your myzeta.com. You need to know how to log in, right? You need to know what your username and your password is, and you establish that when you first began. You want to know how to personalize your site. You're going to have your name, your email, your phone number, your story, your picture, all those things can be there. You want to know how to enroll new distributors and preferred customers, how to place orders, one-time orders, auto ships, how to view your genealogy, where to put the new person in your genealogy, your bottom left outside or your bottom right outside leg. And all these things you need to go through with your sponsor, with your active engaged upline to make sure that you have an understanding right off the bat, right out of the gate, that you know how to do these things, because these are important things that you can be doing on a daily basis as you are enrolling new people into your organization. There's other things there that you want to be familiar with. That's your commission report, your data summary, so you know the volume that's there, the income that's there, where it's coming from, all those, the breakdown of all of that, and the requirements to get to the next level. All of that is there for you in your back office, along with how to set up your own Facebook page, how to look at your online library where all the supporting documents are. All of that is in there in your back office. How to look at the ZJ events calendar to make sure that you know where the different events are going on. By the way, let me say this. You want to make sure that you look at that right now, because the corporate staff are doing some Gold Rush events around the country, and you want to make sure that you can get to those, at least attending one of those. If there's not one in your area, call the company and maybe see if they can put one there and schedule one there if you have enough people, enough interest. But make sure that you attend at least one of those with your team so that you can find out how to get to gold in a short amount of time. Very, very important. Well, folks, as we boil this down and wrap it all up this morning, make sure that you become familiar also with One Team Worldwide. There's a great newsletter there. There's conference call schedules. There's training videos. All that stuff is there. I mentioned at the top of the hour, the member login password is millionaire. And that'll allow you access into the back office of that website. I mentioned this at the top of the call, and that is listening to this training over and over, either through the archived calls or through the live calls that we have every Saturday morning at 11 Eastern Time, such as this one we're doing right now. But continue to listen to this over and over so that you can become, just like my wife Amy says, brilliant at the basics. That's what you need to do. Not that you have to know everything to build a business. No, you don't. Everything's already there in place through the information, through the phone calls, through the teamwork. It's all there for you to be highly successful. But what are you going to do with it? We want people to take the information, not to hold it in, not to keep it to yourself, but to empower. Right now, you should be empowered and equipped and educated to go out and share this with as many people as possible. And as you go out and simply enroll your 2 people, you don't stop with 2. Obviously, you just continue to move on. But then you train them, you teach them, you work with them. Who do you know that needs to hear about this? It's a great question to ask your new people, your new distributors. And then help them get those 2 people started in their organization. And then those 2 people. See, what we're doing is just duplication. And as you do that, you will be highly successful within ZJ International. Folks, thank you so much for joining the call with us today. I do hope it's been very educational for you, and the lines are now. We'll see everybody at the top. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Doug. Cheers. In Georgia, appreciate the call.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I mean,
You're welcome.
thank you, guys.
Thanks for the call, Doug.
Good training, guys. Thank you.